Hi everyone, my name is Teddy Guns. We are here to learn pianos at Teddy Guns Music Junior Academy. So I would like you to join me as we learn, as we take a journey in piano lessons. We are going to show you the way and you walk the way. We are going to simplify the complicated stuff, so we are going to be so easy for you. So join me as we start to learn now. Welcome back to the second video as we are learning keys made simple with Teddy Guns at Teddy Guns Music Junior Academy. I hope you still remember what we covered on our previous lesson, on our previous tutorial. So today we are going to be moving forward on scales. So why scales are important? It's because that in music we have got 12 keys, but when we are now writing a song or when we are now singing, we sing in one key unless the song or the progression of the song changes the key later on, but we are going to concentrate on one key. So once you choose a key, you now need to know the notes that are related to that key. And in every key, we've got 7 notes. And how do you identify those 7 notes? You identify the 7 notes by playing what you call a major scale. And we are going to do that. And we are going to first start on the key of C as an example. Then later on, we are going to go to the scales of other keys. So here we go. So the first thing as a keyboardist, you need to identify the key. Can you identify C? Right. So if you have mastered well, this is where you find C. So this is our C. So we are going to use C on octave 3 on my keyboard. So once you identify C, this is the key that we are going to be using. So this is the first step when you want to play anything. You have to first identify a key. So from the 12 keys, we have selected the key C. Once we can select key C, we need to know the notes that are related to C, so that you may be able to start playing songs in the same key. And we said each key we have got 7 notes, and to identify those 7 notes, you need to play what we call a major scale. So we are going to play a C major scale. But before we play the C major scale, I'm going to give you the formula of playing a major scale. Once you master the formula, you can play any major scale of any key. So the formula of a major scale, it's like what is being shown on your screen. The formula is like from the root note, you play a whole step, a whole step, a half step, a whole step, a whole step, a whole step, and a half step. So let me now clarify. What we call a whole step and a half step. A half step is when you move from one key to the immediate key without skipping any key. That's what we call a half step. So from C to C sharp, it's a half step. And when you want a whole step, it's when you move 2 half steps. So it means from C, you move 1 half step, 2 half steps. So 2 half steps makes a whole step. Or in simpler terms, a whole step is when you skip from one note to another, you skip 1 note in between. I hope you are following. So these are the steps that we are going to be using. A half step and a whole step. And these steps does not matter whether you are moving from a white key or from a black key. So for example, if you are moving from D sharp, from C sharp, a half step, it means you are going to go on D. If you want to move a whole step, you are going to move from C sharp to D sharp because you would have skipped a note. Or if you are moving from E, you can move a whole step to F sharp or a half step to F. So these are the steps that we are going to be using. So here we go. We said for you to be able to play a major scale, we have a formula. So the key that you choose becomes our tonic note, becomes our root note, or our key note. So C becomes our key note. So from C, we said you move a whole step, then a whole step, then a half step, another whole step, another whole step, another whole step, and finally a half step. And if you have noted, when we are playing a scale, we are playing 8 notes, but it does not mean we have 8 notes. But it means that when we start on C, we end on C. So that same note becomes our 8th note on an octave. So we can call it an 8th note or an octave of the first note. So when you start on any key, you end on that key or on that note on an octave. So when you are playing a major scale, it has to sound like a tonic solfa, which is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. So this is the major scale of C. So if you have mastered this, I think you are also supposed to be learning on your piano what we have been doing. So this is how you play a major scale. And the other thing that we need to note, if you need any further explanation, please write it in your section, in our comment section, or you can inbox me and I can explain further, because for the purposes of time I cannot go deeper. But what I have to say before we end this lesson is that when you play a major scale, we have got 10 fingers, or we have got 2 hands, but we have got 10 fingers, and we should number these fingers. So our thumb becomes 1, then 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And even on the left hand, thumb is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So when you play a major scale or a scale, you have to position your fingers in a way that is so easy for you to be able to play up and down the scale. In the key of C, the way you are supposed to be playing this major scale with your right hand is we are going to play with the thumb, with the first 3 fingers first, the first 3 notes. So you are going to say do, re, mi. So the first 3 notes you are going to play with 1, 2, 3 fingers. Then you are going to bring your thumb under to play the 4th note. Then you refocus, or you shift again your fingers to play the remaining notes with the 5 notes. So when you want to play the C major scale using the right hand, it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is how you can be able to play the major scale. And on the left hand, this is what you do. So it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. So this is how you play it on the left hand. If you have not mastered, you can pause or you can rewind and start to learn. So finger positioning is very important when you play the major scale. That's number 1. Number 2, when you play a major scale, you need also to remember the names of the notes that you are playing. For example, in the key of C, we are playing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And you have to know the names of the notes that you are playing. So in the key of C, the names that we've got C, we've got D, we've got E, we've got F, we've got G, we've got A, we've got B. These are our 7 notes in the key of C. And for us to complete the scale, we have got C on an octave to make the 8th note. So you have to know the names of the notes that you are playing in a key. That's number 2. Number 3, when you have identified the names of the notes in that key, you also need to remember or to note the position of the note in the key. For example, in the key of C, note C is on position 1, D is position 2, E is position 3, F is on position 4, G is on position 5, A is on position 6, B is on position 7. We have to master these positions because we are going to use the positions in our next lessons or as we move on. And C becomes a 8th position or 1 on an octave. So this is the other thing that you need to master. And the other thing that you also need to master, you have to link the name and the position. So for example, if I asked you in the key of C, what position is key F? So you need to know that F is on position 4, D is on position 2, G is on position 5, A is on position 6, C position 1, B position 7. You need to know these names and positions at random because you have to think in random. Don't always think in sequence, so that at least you are going to master what you are going to cover next. If you have got any question, any query, or anything that you want us to explain further, you are free again to write it on us on the comment section or to inbox on the numbers that are appearing on the screen. So this is what you covered. Before we end, let me summarize what we covered. When you are playing a major scale, the first thing that you need to master is to identify the key C. We've identified C. So that key that you identify becomes our root note. When you identify C, we have to identify the notes that are related to that key. And we said we've got 7 notes. So in the key of C, we've got C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. But when we play the scale, we play the 8th note, which is our first note on an octave. So number 2, you have to also know the names of the notes that you are playing in a certain key. So we have got C, D, E, F, G, A, and B in the key of C. And you need to remember the formula. The formula, we said it's from the root note, it's whole step, half step, whole step, half step. That's how you play the major scale. And you also need to know the position of every key, every note that you are playing in that key. So this is an example. Let us choose any other key at random. For example, let us choose D sharp. So this is D sharp. So when you have chosen D sharp, you have to play, remember the formula, this becomes our root note. So for us to play the D sharp major scale, you have to play from D sharp, you play whole step, half step, whole step, and half step. You can hear that's the tonic solver. So it's do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. That's what we do. And lastly, when you play a major scale, you should also observe what you call a tempo, a time signature. So let me just put a metronome and just put a certain tempo so that we are going to play. So I'm going to play 2 tempos in the key of C. So here we go, ta, ta, ta. So we are going to be playing on time. So this is how you play the major scale. I was playing on time, so I can also play 2 notes per beat. So this is how you play it. You have to exercise, but you start slowly. So this is how you do it when you want to play 2 notes per beat. So you need also to exercise this so that at least you master. And the other thing that you also need to master is you play, it's either in legato or in staccato. Legato is when you're playing something in smooth and continuous, note after note, which is smooth and continuous. This is legato. Then when you are playing in staccato, this is when you are just playing a note like. Here we go. See you in our next lesson. I hope you have learned a lot. Bye-bye.